decide on the humongous project. They tricked the Batman into fighting, starting with Aquaman and Earth 106. The use of the deep creatures, they build the towers. At the same time, on Earth 1, Earth 2, and Earth 4, they built massive towers. All powerful work. They contribute to the gigantic project in each of the Earths. Flash is pulling the cable power all his life as well. Clark Kent and Kal-El have an emotional conversation, and they notice the wave of pushing them at rapid speed much sooner than they expected. Batman contact the monarch satellite, and all the heroes are panicking. Seems like they don't stand a chance after all. Flash is running to get the cables in order, and he is stopped by the mysterious Magic Man.
All opinions are those of the participants making them and are not an endorsement of any position, program, religion, or political affiliation. DFG's Corner is for information, observation, and entertainment. I ask that you comment, like, share, and subscribe. All opinions.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is DFG, the man with the golden voice, the lady's choice, and of course, always smooth as a Rolls Royce. Coming to you live from the 571 where I get things done and I'm having fun. If you look in the background, you see a picture of me from about 37, 38 years ago. You know, I was young, I was still handsome, and I still do my thing. Um, I'm going to do something a little different tonight. I really don't have a subject, but I just want to be able to say something and just talk about this. The biggest thing that we have going on is that, you know, over the last couple of weeks, we know in the political arena, um, the former president, I don't want to mention his name, but you know who he is. Um, he just got hit with an $83.3 million suit. That's a lot of bread. And not to say it, I'm going to say it like this. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. He's also in line for another Another takedown from the state of New York, the state attorney general Letitia James is looking at asking for about 325 million more of his money that he really don't have, because although he plays rich on TV, he's about as rich as you and I. We got some money, but not enough money to cover that tab. My thing is he'll probably put out a all points bulletin to his base, and they're going to ask, the way they are. He said himself he loves the poorly educated. They will probably give him the 83.3 million. If they send $10 a piece, he has enough users that he can get that money. But I don't know. Personally, I probably wouldn't do it because I always had a problem with his leadership, his personality, his volatility, and his inability to solve complex issues. You saw that during the presidency. The guy currently in office, maybe a smidge better, but in reality, when it comes to us melanated folks, the proof is in the pudding. He ain't really for us. But that's just my own opinion, and not your opinion. Not to tell you anything else, but that's what I came up with. And today I'm gonna put the link in the YouTube live chat box. If you want to join me, if you want to join me, you can hit me up you can click on the link. I'll let you in. But the thing is, my rules are you gotta cam up. You have to cam up because I gotta see who I'm speaking with. So yeah, just do your thing, have some fun, join me. If you just want to hear me talk, I'll talk. I want to thank everybody who's going to watch this, who's on and who may be on in any way. But just to know that this is me, this is what I'm talking about, and I like to run my yap, so I will gladly talk the talk. I'm gonna in a second. I'm going to put on a quick video, and it's about our tax system. And you would think math and numbers would work and have us, everything is equal. They say there's no racism, no systemic racism, no individual racism. It's a colorblind. Everything is colorblind. So I beg to differ, but hey, who am I? I'm just a guy on YouTube who says what he feels, what's in his heart, and what's in his mind. Give me a second. Oops, wrong one. Oh gosh, I got to get better at this. Also, one of the services I do is I do a lot of video stuff, video presentations for people, weddings, funerals, anything. I try to do. I do it with love and I do it out the heart. But some people, you've probably seen some of my work. If you're interested, just hit me up at email, DELITE7 I'm also on Facebook, Andre Golden. I'm also on Instagram, and I'm also on. You look for Phil capital S dot good GOODE. Phil's good. That's what DFG stands for, Dr. Phil Good. You can, if you want, you can hit me up in either of those ways. If you want me to do a project for you, my rates are good, and I work with the customer to get them the best experience that I can so that you are satisfied with the product. That's what I do. If you want to join me online, you can hit me up. Otherwise, I will keep talking. Let me go to YouTube and find you this clip that I want to see. I'm going to say it up front: fair use, fair use, fair use. I will stop it in times, and so that you guys can see, give you a little commentary, so I won't get a copyright strike because this is using news stuff. Move, computer, move. Let me do this. For some reason, it has my other capacity as the editor for Upscale Love for You, which is on Thursday nights, 8:30 Eastern. We usually change the room every about 7 weeks, but we do our thing, and we make sure that we bring you a up to date, great experience as far as quality of the show, and we always try to keep things hot, tight, and right. Um, for those in the chat room, where are you from? Just tell me where you're from, and where you're from. Just want to see where my audience is from. I'll shout you out. You can do super chats. Hey, if you feel like I'm doing a halfway decent job, hook a brother up. That's actually somebody else, poor man's podcasting. But I'm just gonna say hook me up. hook me up. I'm not any old brother. I might be your brother, but hook me up. Let's see. Going to history, and okay, let me go to, no, it's not this one. Keep this in here. Um, we'll go to MSNBC. Of course, I got to learn how to type. A tidbit, um, for all you guys that don't know. I always say my sucking types. Reason I say that, I failed it in junior high school, I failed it in high school, and I failed it in college. In college, the only reason I got an F, and that was the only F I've ever gotten in my entire college career, um, was that was the lowest grade they can give me. If I wanted to go on ability, it'd probably be like N, N or Q or something like that. But you know, we look at things, and we're trying to get, I try to type. I'm more fat finger, but I do I do my thing, and I just try to keep to what's going on. Let's see. Type in the word taxes. Okay. Found what I was looking for. Highest. Don't want to get any copyright strike, so I will silence this for a second. Now I will share my screen. Boom. I learned how to be smarter than the equipment. Hot Atlanta, thank you, Nikki Johnson from Hot Atlanta. Bring me some of that heat, some of that praise, just like my main man, Little Bo Peep from Upscale Love for You. Let's see. Like I said, fair use, fair use, fair use.
Dorothy Brown says she got into tax law because she didn't want to deal with race at work. She's a black woman academic from the South Bronx. She says she faced racism every day of her life. So when it came to choosing a career, she went with math because
Now, we a lot of times we talk about Black people in STEM, and we have a very big deficit because a lot of us like to go into the arts, but we need more of us's in the sciences. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's tough, but it's nothing rewarding than to know that you can do things, invent things, be things. We're very creative people. Let us create. I'm gonna continue.
numbers. I mean, with numbers, there's no way that something that's as straightforward and numerical as the tax system could deal with race, right? Well, Dorothy Brown says, quote, "I've never been so wrong about something in my life." After getting her law degree and then her master's in tax law, Brown was helping her parents with their taxes when she noticed something odd. Now, they were married, but
I just
they
switched
didn't
off
seem to benefit
so I
from the
can
tax
so I'm
breaks that
able
one
to
should expect to see from
so
a
like I
married
said,
couple.
don't want to get any
Dorothy
copyright
Brown
strikes.
dug in and quickly discovered that the IRS does not collect or publish data for race the same way they do for gender or for age. So that caused Brown to begin to dig deeper.
Let's talk about that for a second. Why do you think they do that? It doesn't sound it sounds kind of innocuous. Well, why should the IRS collect data on race? We're a colorblind society, and we are here to say that there's no such thing as racism or prejudice or any other stuff, which is racism and prejudice, two different things. I can be prejudiced, I can prejudge someone, but I have no power. I can't hire and fire people or throw people in jail because of the color of their skin. I can't do that. I lack that power. So racism is kind of out of my purview. Now I've been prejudiced. Hey, we all had some we all prejudged somebody until we got to know them. But very few of us melanated folks are actually racist. Let me continue.
And deeper. She says she became a detective, looking at the history of different tax laws. She looked at who benefits from most tax breaks and loopholes and who doesn't. Take her parents' marriage example. Now, marriage tax cuts only benefit single wage earner households or couples where one worker makes significantly more than the other.
Oh, I'm going to stop right there, and I'm going to show you the NPR report. 1 second. As you can see up there, it says Black married couples face heavier tax penalties than white couples, the report says. Now, let's take a little deep dive into that. Black couples are more likely to have both couples working and making around the same amount of money, around the same, give or take $5,000 to $10,000 in the average household. According to this report, they don't get as big as a tax break as a person who files jointly, and one spouse makes significantly over the next, or only one spouse works at a household. This is an issue because traditionally, and even in modern times, even now, that's not us. That's more Asian and Caucasian that are more likely to have the wife at home, stay at home mom, while the husband goes out and works, or if the wife works, she works part time or volunteers and makes a couple of bucks on the side with some side hustles, whereas significantly more. So what that does is that's an issue with how colorblind laws can be used to disadvantage those who have the same skin tone as I do, the melanated folks.
So, for example, a household where both spouses work and make similar incomes, they're not going to get the tax cut. And as it turns out, household with equal earners that have two full-time workers, they're more likely to be black. And then, by contrast, household where there is a single wage earner where
stay
one
home and not work, those are significantly more likely to be white. Now, through arduous study and research, Brown uncovered a long list of ways that both tax law and the many other systems that impact wealth generation tend to favor white Americans and also disadvantage Black Americans.
So what is that saying? That's saying that not only is the tax law pro-Caucasian, pro-not Black, it's anti-Black. Now, you're not supposed to be able to argue with numbers, but we all know in this country, there's unfortunately the law is colorblind. However, how it enforced isn't. A Black man is 7.5 times more likely to be arrested, convicted, and serve time for a crime that they did not do more than our non-melanated folks. So that should tell you, even though a lot of these laws, procedures, and policies are colorblind in theory, they're actually not in practice. Let's continue.
In her book, The Whiteness of Wealth, How the Tax System Impoverishes Black Americans and How We Can Fix It, was published in 2021. Since then, Brown has been appointed to the Treasury Advisory Committee on Racial Equity.
I'll put this link in the chat.
Secretary Janet Yellen. Brown and her other committee co-members have made recommendations on how to address racial equity matters within the tax code. She recently said in an interview with NPR that despite the board's work and recommendations, quote, we have not seen much progress at all.
I wonder why we have not seen much progress with this. Could it be something that's a little controversial? Because historically, it's been shown that whenever something advantages us, it's quickly shut down. Examples in history are Red Summer, 1919, Wilmington in 1898, Tulsa, of course, Tulsa, Rosewood, and even in Chicago, Arkansas, and many places where African Americans had acquired wealth through their hard work and sweat, it was destroyed. It was burnt. So they got rid of their ability to do that. And it was often done under the auspices of law enforcement. That's one thing I can say is that, the law is blind, but like I said, it's not enforced that way. A lot of times we don't think that, but everybody has had an issue everybody's had an issue. If you're melanated, you've had a DWB situation. What is DWB, you might ask? It's driving while bronze. That's basically what it is. I could tell you plenty of times when I've been pulled over simply for the fact that I was not melanated, even though I might have been in the military for 31 years. I've never been convicted of a crime. I had a few speeding tickets, and I've been a productive citizen. However, to some law enforcement, notice I didn't say policing, because policing and law enforcement, they're similar, but they're not the same. Law enforcement, the connotation is they're going to enforce the law. People are not required to be protected by law enforcement. That was a Supreme Court decision a long time ago. However, policing is ensuring public safety. Example, you're walking down the street in, for example, in Atlanta, you're in North Druid Hills, and you look like me. Chances of a police officer pulling you over is higher than it would be down in a place like, I don't know, Sweet Auburn. However, it's a whole lot of things with how we're perceived, how we're looked at, and how we are. And this goes to historically redlining, first hired, last hired, first fired, uh, school to prison pipeline, convict lend leasing, all of those things that destroy our economic viability, as well as taking away a significant percentage of our ability to vote. Because if you're a felon, you don't have to go to jail, but you lost your ability to vote and do some other things. And what happened was in the early 1900s, a lot of felonies were classified as felonies, which when you had a choice between misdemeanor and felony. For certain people, the same crime would be a misdemeanor. To us, it would be a felony. What does a felony do? It disenfranchises us by, well, it says, no, we didn't stop you from voting. You committed a crime and you committed a felony. So therefore, you did it to yourself. If that's what helps them sleep at night. I'm going to continue before I go on a diatribe.
Joining me now is Dorothy Brown, professor of law at Georgetown University and member on the advisory committee on racial
You can hear her yourself.
Of the Treasury. Good morning. Thank you so much for being here. Dorothy, you said in an interview with NPR's Marketplace recently that you haven't seen a whole lot of interest in just this conversation about centering race and racial equity within the Treasury. Why do you think that is?
Because Treasury doesn't see racial equity as something that they should be focusing on. They haven't historically. They give lip service to it under Secretary Yellen, but the Treasury Advisory Committee makes recommendations like you should really have a path forward on collecting data by race, because you shouldn't depend on an academic like Dorothy Brown to uncover the racial biases in our tax code. There's a Stanford study that came out last year that showed if you were Black and you filed for the Earned Income Tax Credit, you were 3 to 5 times more likely to be audited than if you were non-Black. That needs to be fleshed out. The Treasury should be at the forefront of this. We made the recommendation in March of last year, and we have seen very little progress.
Now, looking at that, as you can see, we are not enforced equally. The rules are not enforced equally for us. So we tend to be able to have, we have more people that are eligible for the Earned Income Tax Credit. That's the tax credit that families making under a certain amount are eligible to get, and depending on number of children. However, we're most likely the ones to be audited, and not, instead of them auditing like the 45th president, and they audit people like us. They audit the single mother who's working 3 jobs and trying not to be on government assistance, but uses the Earned Income Tax Credit to be able to catch up on the obvious lack of economic opportunities that they have. So, and as you heard, they had a ton of recommendations, but the Treasury Secretary is like, yeah, okay, we'll get to that now. And this goes back to the current guy in office. He promised a policing act. Didn't happen. An equity act. Didn't happen. Hate crime legislation specifically for American descendants of slavery and foundational Black Americans. They might sound the same, but they're different. None of that. So why would they even think about trying to rectify the injustices and the slights that people of color, especially Black folks, have been shown since the beginnings of this country? You want to say this country, they tell us to get over it, but yet they still fly Confederate flags. Go figure that out. I still can't understand that. I'm gonna continue.
Data is critical. The IRS and Treasury publish a lot of data about a lot of things, but not about race. And I'm very disappointed in Secretary Yellen not moving our recommendations forward.
Now, like they said, I'm sure these are academics. She's a lawyer. She's well versed in the tax code. So, and she got a degree in mathematics and numbers. So she understands. She's a very smart woman. She probably her team was extremely smart. So they just wasn't doing things to say, they just wasn't throwing out random numbers to say, yeah, this is it. They did the research. They backed their studies, and they showed and proved it. And they gave it to the person who has the ability to make a difference. And what happened? The person who had the ability to make a difference was indifferent. Go figure. Let's continue.
Faster.
This is such an important conversation because there are so many of us within our community, within Black America, who feel like there are things systemically that hold us back or that are pressing on us in different ways, but we can't prove it. We can't point to it. So when you bring up the notion of data, I just want to underscore how valuable and imperative that is. Dorothy, you're a friend to Velshi and the show, and you spoke to Ali about 3 years ago, and you said that one of the things that was most important there was for the IRS to collect and to publish data on race, the same way they do with age and gender. And President Biden's racial equity order back in 2021, that actually affirmed that. From a policy place, what do you think has to happen in order to bring that into a reality? Is the pressure to be applied in the Treasury? Is it to be applied to legislatures? Is it a combination of both? Or do you think it's in the courts where this needs to be fought?
No, it's very simple. The White House needs to pick up the phone and tell Treasury Secretary Yellen they meant what they said in the racial equity order. And it's
as simple as that. Our current guy in office who wants us Black folks to vote for him can pick up the phone, talk to the Treasury Secretary, said, hey, I appointed you, make this happen. But do you really think that? Do you really think that's going to happen? Probably not. I'm going to say on a scale of 1 to 10, that ain't going to happen. Let's continue.
Expect progress on the Treasury Advisory Committee's recommendations forthwith. It's not complicated. We have a path forward. We recommended how to get it done. And the White House needs to step up and say, we meant it. We need disaggregated data by race in the Treasury and IRS. We have it at HUD. We have it at the Department of Labor. We know how many people ride bicycles by race, but we don't know how taxpayers pay their taxes by race. It is a sin and a shame.
I'm glad you brought up those examples of other places in government that are already doing this, because what it does is that it eliminates the argument that, well, we don't ever do this. We never sort of look.
And why do you think that is? Why do you think that they really don't want to do what they're recommending? Because each time Black folks expose the system, the system fights back with a vengeance. Because, like it or not, Black folks are the conscience of this country. And as we go, so goes the country. You might not, we might agree to disagree, but in my experience, that's what I've seen. Let me continue with this. I'm gonna put this back on. I'm gonna share this again so we can watch this again as a team.
Look at these statistics. The fact that there are models that exist across other agencies is so critical for building a model that is consistent across all government agencies.
Put one in the chat.
Back in
I
2020,
actually call it, I'm sorry, I actually call it Treasury's exceptionalism. They are the outlier here.
Well, that's important to point out, and I'm glad you did. Back in 2020, there were a lot of folks from different communities, a lot of white Americans, for example, who had questions about how to show up, how to be allies. And right now, you've said that it's important for white Americans to engage with the subject of racism and wealth accumulation and racism in the tax system as well. You've mentioned that this sort of allyship is helpful and impactful for white Americans to be forthcoming about
intergenerational wealth and about their experiences with wealth building. This is not done to shame anyone for what they've been able to achieve, but to help illuminate the issues around disparities. Can you talk about how critical this piece of allyship is for people who are invested in building greater equity?
It's very important because you may be sitting at your Black employee, you may be sitting at the cubicle next to your white colleague, and your white colleague is sending their children with the same salary, which is a big assumption based on race in the labor market, but with the same salary, your next door cubicle person can send their kids to private school and lives in a really nice house. And you're like, how come I can't make it work? You Black employee, if you're a college grad, you're more likely to send money to your parents. Your white peer is more likely to get money from their parents.
And that is an important point. We've been hobbled. No conjecture about that. We've been hobbled. The way we've been set up was that we support our parents, whereas the global minority with a lot more aggregated wealth and power take care of their children. Now, that's not all of them. But it's a sizable amount. Maybe about 30% of people can actually leave something for their children. Our numbers are just awful. I mean, if you really think about it, the average wealth of a Black family is less than $1,000. That's the average. The median wealth for a Black family in the United States is about less than $1,000. By 2030, they're talking about $5. So you can imagine 45 to 50 million people, 33% of those married, or even without, even families without even without married, but having children. Your kids will get $5. Think about that. Now that's not all of us. We all do our best, but most of us had to help our parents, whereas a lot of them got help from their parents. And this is what she was saying.
White Americans talk more about this hidden form of wealth, what I call interfamily transfers, than Black Americans see. We're not doing anything wrong. We've got a tax system that we are paying for, but that are stripping us of wealth. We have a Treasury Secretary that doesn't seem to want to move the ball forward. And we have this intergenerational wealth advantage that white Americans have that often don't want to talk about. But I will say, Charles, since my book came out, I've gotten emails from white Americans telling me their story and saying, I want to be an ally. And let me tell you how my whiteness helped me financially.
Dorothy Brown.
So, Dr. Brown is on point. That's why I want to play this and get the people to understand that, yes, we do have an issue with that. Don't, as much as we talk about conspiracy theories by the Hoteps, the pro-blacks, there's a reason why we talk about paranoia and such, that we are not doing what we need to do, but we have what we need to have in order to get to that level to where we can leave something for our children and not worry about it being confiscated, taken, burned, destroyed, seized. And here's another thing. The chances of your stuff being seized by the government is about 5 times higher than if you're black than if you're white. Why do you think they put those those asset forfeiture laws in the books? It was for a way for local governments and municipalities to collect on certain demographics with the assumption that they were dealing in illegal business. So if you're a black person and you're driving a late model car that's a little nicer than what other people have, you're going to be a suspect. That's what DWB essentially is. And you have to always be on your P's and Q's so you're not looking like, wow, this is always happening to me. You got to expect it. This is America. Like Childish Gambino's song, this is America. You gotta, what we could be is not even close to what we are. So when your allies talk about you can be whatever you want, that's a bold-faced lie. I can't be white. I can't get the advantages that are for Caucasian people. I can get some, but as long as my skin is black, like the poem, only thing I can do is stay black and die or delete or expire. I'm going to close this off a little early today. I'm hoping that everyone on here will put out some likes, comment, share. I'm on here every Tuesday night. Sometimes I'm not at my best, but I will always give you 100%. Next week, I'm looking to do another show. I'm looking more of a dating episode. I'm going to bring on a guest. She's like family to me, and we're going to talk about her chances of finding a man that suits what she wants out of a man. So, as I like to say on my show Thursday nights, come on, Upscale Love for You. That's Upscale, the number 4. Upscale Love, the number 4, the letter U, at gmail.com. Hit us up. We're live. We're also on YouTube Live, and we also have a forum, and this is part 2 of Catfishing, where we have Action J doing his thing. Also on Fridays, there's Razzle Dazzle and his crew, my sister, the Chocolate Pearl, my favorite girl. Also co-host of that is scorebiggerdating.com. They are live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. I'm working on all those, but I'm going to stay here for YouTube for a while. I'm trying to build my brand. I have an ambitious goal, people. I'm at currently 3,800 subscribers. I want to be at least 10,000 by May. So tell a phone and tell a friend that DFG is here again. I'm going to bring you what you want. So email me, DLITE, the number 7, at gmail.com. I answer emails. Tell me what I should talk about. Give me an idea, and I'll do the research. I'm all about the research. I'm all about information, entertainment, and opportunities for all, especially my people. So Never make love by the garden gate, though love is blind, the neighbors ain't. Have a great evening and be the best you can be, because we do our thing and we make it swing. I'll be back. Just give me a second.
Thanks for watching. This is the man with the golden voice, the lady's choice, and of course, smooth as a Rolls Royce, saying, never make love by the garden gate, though love is blind, the neighbors ain't.